Welcome to Conversations with Kelly, where we sit down with business leaders across the state to take a deep dive into important topics that matter to the business community. I'm Kelly Basil with the Delaware State Chamber of Commerce, and today we're going to talk about leadership. With me at the table, I have Marie Holliday with Cover and Rossiter, and also Brian DiSabatino, who's with EDiS Company. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Brian, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself, tell us what you do.
Great, thanks so much. I'm Brian DiSabatino. I get the good fortune of being the CEO of EDiS Company. EDiS is a fifth-generation construction company. We're about 115 years old here in Delaware, and we serve the Delaware market, southeastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. We have 80 professionals, and we do between $150 and $200 million worth of work here in the area.
Awesome. Marie?
I'm Marie Holliday. I'm the managing director at Cover and Rossiter, which is a CPA and advisory tax and audit firm in Wilmington, Delaware. We've been around not as long as EDiS, but a little over 80 years. And we work with businesses and individuals and trusts in the tri-state area, but we also have clients nationally as well.
Great. Thank you again for being here. Before we take a deep dive into the topic, we have a quick message from our sponsor. The Conversations with Kelly podcast is powered by Easter Seals Delaware and Maryland's Eastern Shore, and they're marking a huge milestone, their 75th anniversary. Easter Seals is celebrating 75 years of creating an inclusive community, 75 years of first steps for children, independence for adults with disabilities, and support for seniors and their families. Easter Seals is celebrating 75 years of a legacy ensuring a future where everyone is 100% included and 100% empowered. And they're just getting started. Happy anniversary to Easter Seals Delaware and Maryland's Eastern Shore. To learn more or donate, visit de.easterseals.com. That's de.easterseals.com. Welcome back. All right, let's get into it. So I didn't even realize this when we first asked you both to be on this particular episode. We did know that you're both superstar and business winners, but what I didn't know is that the two of you are two-time winners. There are only 3 companies since the program's existence in 1998 that have won the award twice, and we have Cover and Rossiter, and EDiS is 2 of them. So really cool.
Congratulations to you.
Delaware Superstars.
And so just to kind of explain quickly for our viewers what Superstars in Business is, it's a small business awards program that the State Chamber of Commerce has, and what we do is celebrate the amazing contributions to our community and our economy that small businesses contribute in the state. So we try to celebrate best practices, community involvement, good leadership, lifting up employees, all of that good work. And you two are perfect examples of that. So we asked you to here today because we want to talk about your leadership. You didn't just win the award for being a great company. It also has to do with your leadership style and being that steward of the mission and the vision of your organizations. So Marie, we'll start with you. Kind of just tell me about your leadership style and how you put that into practice at Cover and Rossiter.
I would say I'm a transformational leadership style, but also visionary. Because of my role in the organization, I'm trying to grow future leaders of our organization. So oftentimes we have a lot of young staff accountants that are coming in, don't know much about the industry. And so I'm encouraging them to, as a transformational leader, I feel like I'm encouraging them to develop their skills as much as they can. So I'm encouraging them to take the CPA exam because that's kind of a critical thing in our industry to get that certification. And then as they pass that, start developing them as future leaders of the organization. We've done transformational leadership development programs with them. Some of our staff has gone to the AICPA Leadership Academy. So we're constantly trying to develop skills. I would say also visionary because I feel like the industry is changing so much. When I first got in the industry, there wasn't a lot of computers. I hate to say that, but I'm a lot older than you. But it used to be you have green ledger paper writing stuff in. Everything's computerized now, and so people may think that it takes less time, but now you can focus on more advisory focused type of work. And so I'm always trying to challenge my team to use their technology the best way that they can and push them to kind of do that. So that's why I say with the visionary, you kind of have to look into the future and figure out what direction is your company going or your industry going. So I would say those are my two top leadership styles.
Brian, what about you?
I loved hearing about the changes in technology. I mean, we have the same thing going. I remember when I joined the firm some 35 years ago, sitting with my dad, and he was ahead of his time. He had this thing. He opened up a box, and inside was like this floppy disk. And in case you don't know what a floppy disk is, you're going to have to look it up on Google.
I found one of them in our office.
Did you really? In the
I
archives?
didn't know what to do with it.
Hilarious. Well, they serve cheese on it. It's a good charcuterie board. And so he had this floppy disk, and it had this program called Lotus 123. And he wanted me to show him how to use it because he was just fixated that you could add or subtract on a computer, and you didn't have to send it out to be done. And I think that's emblematic of both of our industries. A lot has changed. So I'd say, for me, I love that sort of the energy behind all of that transformational, the word that you use, that transformational change that takes place in an industry. And I love the opportunity in a leadership position to look out 2 or 3 or 4 steps to see where an organization could be or should be going. I think there's a lot of energy out there on the edge. So I think if you ask me what you did, my leadership style, it's slightly visionary. It's to have the opportunity to have great people underneath you, to give you a little bit of time to take a look over the horizon to see how the marketplace, whether it's technology or the customer base or changes in the external environment, how all of those things are happening 3, 4 steps down the road. So I think my style is to look out there and then communicate that back and help lead the organization towards it.
I also think a big thing in your top roles in the company is you have to kind of be that why person and make sure all of your employees understand the why, what they're coming in for every day and why they're doing it. How do you get that message across to your employees?
Wow. I would say that's really hard right now. I think COVID's kind of changed the whole process of being a leader because, sometimes people don't understand the why. They see their little piece of the pie, but not the whole environment. And so that's always hard to communicate that. And so it's hard to always figure out the why. And you hope that, by modeling, different things and putting teams together, they can understand all the pieces that fit into that puzzle.
The folks I work with are going to think that you set that question up because we're literally just coming out of a meeting on this topic. For us, it's super important because I don't believe you can really execute a strategy for an organization, no matter how big or small, unless everybody knows why, right? And as managers, not leaders, you're really working on how or what. But as a leader, you need to move towards your question about why. And so often organizations work on the why of the company, the corporation, the mission statement, and all that, the why. But if you can't connect the why of the organization to the why of the person, you'll never get to the what or the how. So the why is essential in everything that we do. So for us, we try to figure out what is that why? How do we distill it? And for us, it came down to the word legacy. We have a long legacy, but we don't want to look backwards. We want to look forward. What's the kind of legacy that we want to leave? Now that we've got a 115-year track record, how do we translate that and help people understand that they can leave a legacy too? Your legacy, we've got a wonderful woman at the front desk. Her name is Wendy. And Wendy's legacy is every single day, she just brightens everybody's day. I mean, she gets to go home at night knowing that when she turns the lights out and looks behind her, the legacy that she left that day was making the place a little bit better. And so if we can get the Wendy's of our organization to understand that they have a role, then the strategy just sort of takes care of itself.
What you're saying is, you're getting everyone to kind of believe in the cause, and then they feel a part of it and invested in it.
Yeah.
I have to give a kudos, actually, Brian, to your social media. Whoever does your social media, you have great social media in that you're always celebrating your employees' milestones, their birthdays, their work anniversaries. Welcome this person to our team, and it feels like I'm a part of EDIS when I go onto their Twitter.
You're very kind.
It's really good, and you can see that you care about your people.
I'll tell Nick that you said that because Nick is running our social media, and he'll take great pride in that because he takes great pride in our people. For us, And I know at COVID or Rossiter, it's the same thing, that the people are central to everything that we do. I mean, we build buildings. That's great. I mean, we certainly build great buildings. But we've come to understand the philosophy that we build buildings for people through people. Buildings are the byproduct. But if you don't get the people piece right, the buildings, you're always going to have a problem, right? So you got to get the people piece right and authentically. And for us, if we can nail the culture, that why question, and why we work with each other and how we work with each other, the buildings will take care of themselves. The strategy of the organization will take care of itself. But the people piece, my grandfather used to say, you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with.
Yep.
For me, it was a social commentary. It was more like, make sure you hang out with nice people, right? But I think when he looked at the organization, he also knew that in business or in his trade, he was a stonemason. You literally had to surround yourself with good people, or the stone that you were going to set wouldn't be set right.
It's powerful. Yeah. What about you, Marie?
I think the people are critical. I mean, in this economy that we're in, it's really hard to get good people that believe in the mission, that see the vision that you see for them or for the company as a whole. And every single person makes a contribution. It doesn't matter how small. It's whether you mention your front desk person. We still have a receptionist, because I think that's so important. That person who first comes in the door, who answers the phone, that's a critical function. Every single person in the company, I try to go around all the time and ask them a little bit about themselves so they know I care about them. So I think most people in my office would say, I know some little thing about them that's interesting. Although sometimes they surprise me and give me a little zinger, and I'm like, I didn't know that about you. You never told me that. So I feel like you want to make them feel like you're part of your family, and I think that's what you're saying in EDiS. You're trying to do.
Definitely. Now, we just talked about kind of your leadership styles internally, but you're also community leaders. You do a lot of work through volunteerism, sitting on boards. Marie, I know you're about to be next year our Delaware State Chamber Board Chair, which is very exciting. And, Brian, you just stepped into the role at the Delaware Business Roundtable as their chair. Tell me a little bit about your passions with giving back to the community.
Ever since I was young in my adult life, I've been volunteering. So it started really young, whether it was at church at the, something for the athletic association, poker night, I think it was, at Holy Angels, or my kids' swimming events. I was always doing something and volunteering. And then, it kind of got started. It was more personal nature at the beginning. I felt like I was doing things that my kids were involved. And then as I got, developed as a leader in the community and my business, I started branching out. And, one of the reasons I got involved in the chamber was Superstars in Business. Yep. I think I came to you guys and I said, hey, I really loved being in this program. Is there anything I could do to help out? And you're like, hey, Marie, would like you on the committee. You get to select the applications, and look at the application.
And she was a Superstar committee member, and then we put you on the board.
Right. But, I felt like I had to give back a little bit because, I was so honored to be a recipient twice that I felt like I needed to give back to the organization. And I feel like what I give to the organization, I get back tenfold. So, even though it takes a little bit of time, being the treasurer at one point and the board chair incoming, it's been worth it because I've learned so much and I've met so many people in the community. And so, I've been on a lot of nonprofit boards as well, because everybody wants a treasurer. And it seems so like true. That's the common thing. And so, but each of them I've kind of had a passion. Some of them are early education. Some of them are, some college things that I'm involved in. Rotary is a big passion of mine. So I'm always trying to get involved in something where I feel like I can make a difference.
Brian?
Yeah, that's very inspirational. I love watching what you and your firm do. And I love the fact that we chose today, the site, to be here at the Easter Seals. I mean, how emblematic, a couple of mentors in my life are Skip Pinella and Ernie D'Anastasis, two really passionate people about the Easter Seals. And whether, Marie, your work, or Ernie and Skip, their work, for me, it's really been following the mentorship of people that have really understood the idea of community service. Because I have to say, I was a late bloomer. I don't know, as a child or a teenager or an early 20-year-old, I really was that steeped in community service. Our family had the benefit of benefiting from the community. We came here as non-English speaking for 2 generations. And really, it wasn't until, my dad's generation, the 3rd generation of our family, where we started to go to post-secondary education. And whether it was the military or trade school or college or university, it was in that 3rd generation that we started to build up a different level of education. But until then, we were the direct beneficiaries of places like the West End Neighborhood House, where they taught us to learn English, and they taught us to cook in an American style. And they taught us how to sew clothes and all of the other great arts that we had to learn. But when I came to work at the chamber, there was a president by the name of Bill Wire, and Bill grabbed me right away quick, and he threw me into an organization called Read Aloud Delaware. And all of a sudden, I realized that there were people in our community that didn't have the same privileges that I had. They weren't going that far in school, and their families weren't steeped with parents that had the time to invest in the kids. And all of a sudden, I found myself raising money. And a wonderful woman by the name of Dolores Alfano taught me how to bang on doors and send letters and raise money. And the next thing you know, I got a really great shot at St. Francis Hospital, and now I'm at the Grand Opera House, and I'm doing work with veteran suicide. And all the while, I'd like to tell you that I gave back, but at every step of the way, I was the beneficiary of watching amazing works of Read Aloud Delaware and just being in awe of the work that they still continue to do to contribute. The Easter Seals, I get to see what they're doing. The Grand Opera House, I get to watch the magic that they work, not just in selling commercial tickets, but in reaching communities that had over time felt disinvested. And so, I think Marie would agree. Like, you go into this, going to serve as treasurer. You come out of it just absolutely inspired to do it again.
Yeah. I didn't know that you were involved with Read Aloud. I just joined their board, and I'm loving it. They're a phenomenal organization. So that's pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Okay, you're so involved in the community. Does that example that you're setting kind of go into the people in your company? Do you encourage it, or do they just kind of see you doing this and want to do it too?
I would say in my case, yes, but we have a pretty heavy nonprofit audit practice as well. And so we're already kind of, going to their events and supporting those organizations. But my team at my office, they do a great job. Every year we're doing stuff. We helped Helena with getting a board member for her new organization. We do a lot. I used to be on the board of Newark Day Nursery. And so every year for 20 some years, we've sponsored families, whether it was at that organization or another organization. We've done Christmas presents, and we'll sponsor like 4 or 5 families. And, we don't have the luxury of having 150 people, but, we have about 40. And we all contribute. We wrap the presents, we donate, we do jackets for young children. I was on the board of New Direction Early Head Start. And so that's like for underage 2 children. And we get winter coats for them every year. So, my team's buying coats. We're doing the food bank. I mean, it's nonstop all year long. We're doing stuff for organizations that need help. And so it does feel good because, I was very lucky. My parents, they didn't graduate from college either, but I feel like they put me in places where I learned about philanthropy and how to help other people. I went to St. Mark's, a great high school, and I learned that. I started my volunteering when I was there. It was all about giving back and teaching you what you need to do in the community. And it not that I do it because I want to feel good about it. I just do it because I think that's what you should do. You should help other people when you have the ability to do so.
Yeah, I get inspired by the people that I get a chance to work with at EDiS because I don't think it has anything to do with us as a corporation. I think I actually know they're out there doing it because they're good people, and I suspect that we found each other as employer and employee because we both share the same set of values. I love looking as an example of folks in our organization that are involved in the first responder community. We've got folks that are involved in fire and paramedics, and we have quite a few people who were either veterans of the military or still active in the military or in either the reserves or the Guard. And so just watching the selflessness of other people, and I think Marie would agree, it's inspiring. And it makes you double down to do a little bit more.
Yeah, that's great. I want to go back to Superstars in Business a little bit. I mentioned you're both two-time winners. What led you to apply for the award?
Oh, I was involved the first time, but not to the same degree as the second time, so I'll focus on the second time. I felt like at that point we had made some significant changes in leadership at our organization, and we'd moved our office to a much nicer location, and we got a new logo, and it all felt like the time was right. And the process the first time was so exciting, winning the first time, and I was like, you know what, we did some really good things, and it'd be nice to be recognized for that. So, I mean, it's extensive. It's not an easy process. You've got an application that you need to fill out. You got a lot of questions you need to answer, but it kind of affirmed to, I think, our team that we had done something good. And so winning the award was super exciting. We brought our quite a few people on our team to the dinner or the luncheon, and it's really nice to see the people in the small business community get recognized.
Definitely. And I think, Marie, you're the one that's said this before, but the process of applying for the Superstars Award, it's almost like a self-audit, and you really get to take a step back and look at the things that you're doing really well and maybe the things that you need to work on. And, once it's all put together on paper, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
We're doing a great job.
Right. I do. I think, you ask, what did you do right? What did you do wrong? It asks you about what did you do that didn't work out? And so you really assess, the decisions that the team has made and what's worked out for them. And I just think it's kind of inspirational to your team when you're done.
Yeah.
And someone else recognizes, hey, you guys did a really good job. And so I think it's a fantastic opportunity. I highly encourage any small business or nonprofit to do it because I do think it helps you. It's not just the award, it's what you get out of it at the end. It's like you can really look at your process and say, maybe I need to work on something else.
Brian, what about you?
Well, first and foremost, we're honored to have even been nominated or asked to submit, and then to be a two-time winner is pretty special. For us, what the award symbolizes is we're part of a community of other businesses. And when you look around that room and consider the makeup of all of the different small businesses that are part of the chamber, it's kind of awe-inspiring. And I really salute the chamber for doing the award in the first place, and hats off to the Gilman family for taking a leadership position in it. And I know Marvin Gilman is smiling down on all of us because, in a chamber, it's normal for the big businesses of the community to get some spotlight. And we've got great big businesses. But when you look at what the engine of this economic community looks like, it's the shopkeeper, it's the contractor, it's the painter, it's the drywall person. And so it's great stuff.
And I don't know the exact number, but I know that the majority of people employed in Delaware do work for a small business. So recognizing the majority of Delawareans is important. You're right. Big business contributes a lot to the community, but so does small business. And so it's really nice to have this moment once a year where we really kind of put that spotlight on it. No, congratulations to you guys. You're the ones that make it happen. So we're almost out of time. But I do want to transition into our Convo Connection, where I want to give you both the opportunity to give a shout out to a company, a nonprofit, a person in Delaware that's doing really amazing things. Brian, I'll let you go first.
Oh, I get to go
Sorry,
first.
You nodded, but I called you out anyway.
I want to give it a shout out actually to a pair of people, Logan Herring and Aaron Bass, and the entire community who was in the process of completely revitalizing the northeast section of the city of Wilmington, whether it's housing or education or employment or recreation. These folks in that community have taken it upon themselves to reinvent a piece of the city.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I know that we are going to look back in about a dozen years and go, wow, what an impact they had. And so, I encourage us all to get on board.
It's a good shout out.
Yeah.
Marie?
I'm going to give a shout out to Rotary. One, because they are involved with the Easter sales. They sponsor a lot of events at Camp Fairley, and they've had a long association. But two, I think there's several Rotary clubs in the state of Delaware, and those clubs do a lot in the community. They raise money, they sponsor nonprofit organizations, and they do a lot of good in the community. And so I think Rotary would be the one that I would like to give the shout out today to.
That's great. And I'll give a shout out to Katie Wilkinson, who is our past board chair. She just rolled off our board of directors. But every year at our annual dinner, which happened back in January, we award a board member as a staff. We vote on this person and say, thank you for all that you've done for us and our organization. And that went to Katie Wilkinson this year.
Great choice. Super person.
Well deserved.
An amazing person, a great board chair. She was very hands-on with the staff. She actually came into our office earlier this week just to have coffee. And she's not even our board chair anymore. And so I give a shout out to Katie.
Yeah, I think a month and a half into her chairmanship or chairwomanship, we had COVID. So what a great start to your 2 years. I mean, I give her a lot of credit. That was a hard kind of come in. And
she handled the whole term with grace.
Historic.
Yeah.
Historic.
Thank you again. If anyone wanted to get in contact with you, Brian, how can they reach you?
EDIScompany.com.
There you go. Marie?
You can call 302-656-6632, which is the Cover and Rossiter number at our office.
There you go. And if you want to get a hold of me at the chamber, it's kbasil@dscc.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And again, thanks for joining us Conversations with Kelly. We'll catch you next time.